So let's get started. I really want to apologize to you. I'm very, very sorry. And I feel bad. I really feel bad. And what can I say? I hope you won't be angry with me. And I hope you'll please forgive me. But the truth is, I have to say, it really wasn't my fault. But I hope you understand where I was coming from. It wasn't, please forgive me, and I'm just asking you, I'm begging you, don't be angry with me. Please don't be angry with me. Now, if that's how you apologize to your spouse when you did something wrong, it's very, very good that you came tonight. Because that's an illustration of what I would consider, not necessarily the wrong way to apologize, but certainly not the best way to apologize. Well, what do you mean? What's wrong with what I said? What's wrong with what I said? I apologized. I said I was sorry. What do you say? The apology wasn't any good? Listen, the truth is, I didn't really do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I was actually right. You know, my spouse got upset with me, but I didn't do anything wrong. So I don't think I really have to apologize. I was going with Nimashur Sadin, but I didn't really have to apologize. Oh yeah? If that's how you think, then it's very, very good that you came tonight. Because you do have to apologize. Now, we're talking about the wrong way to apologize to your spouse, or how not to apologize to your spouse. Tonight is ASERES YIMEI Tשוba, and apologies are very much the Inyan Adiyoma, so to speak. So the Mechaber says, Avera shebein adam lechavero, ein yom kippur mechaper, ad sheyafaisenu. If you did an avera between adam and chavero, then Yom Kippur won't help you. And the only thing that will help is when your chaver achieves a level that the Mechaber calls pius. They were appeased. Afilu lo hiknito ela b'dvarim tzarech lefaiso. Even if the only thing you did wrong was you used not such a nice lashon. You didn't say the right expression. You used the wrong language. And you hurt your spouse. But you didn't do anything wrong. You just said something that wasn't so nice. Mechaber says you still have to be impious. The Mishnah Berurah says on this that the gam bezeh over al iser de onos devarim. If you said something that was maknit, what does that mean? That means annoy. You annoyed your spouse. Mishnah Berurah says that comes under the category of onos devarim. Well, that's a pretty serious matter. Now we're talking about a deraisa. The iser of onos devarim is a deraisa. And the Sefer HaChinuch says in Siman Shin Lamed Ches, Mitzvah Shin Lamed Ches, what is the geder of onos devarim? Shelo lahonos achem Yisrael b'devarim, that you shouldn't oppress or offend or upset another Yid with words. Kolomar, which means Shelo nemel Yisrael devarim shiyachivuhu v'yitzaruhu, that you said something that hurt or that caused pain. Now, if you said that to me, it wouldn't hurt me. And if I said that to my chavrus, it wouldn't hurt him. But if it hurts your spouse, then you're over the iser of onos devarim. It doesn't say that it hurts you. It doesn't say that you did the wrong thing. The lashon is shelo nema v'Yisrael devarim shiyachivuhu v'yitzaruhu. And if it hurts your spouse, even though you didn't intend it to hurt the spouse, and even though it wouldn't hurt you, and it wouldn't hurt your friends, and everyone agrees it wasn't such a terrible thing, but your spouse was hurt by it, then you're over the Isser of a Nos Dvarim. So, if a spouse is hurt by something you said, then you certainly have to apologize. Now, what's wrong with the apology that I gave at the outset? What was so terrible about it? It sounded like a sincere apology. I mean, I tried to be sincere, tried to act sincere. So what was wrong with it? Well, a number of things are wrong with it. The first thing is that any apology that includes the word B-U-T is not an effective apology. It's not going to accomplish the goal of being Matthias. Now, a lot of apologies include what we call an excuse, but that's being defensive. Now, of course, if you're attacked, you want to defend yourself. And if you're being misjudged, you want to defend yourself. But that's not going to accomplish the goals of being Matthias, someone that you hurt. If you hurt your spouse, then the purpose of an apology is to be Matthias, not to defend yourself. Now, many people misunderstand the purpose of apologizing. And they think the purpose of an apology is to get them off the hook so they don't have to suffer the consequences of their actions. So you won't be angry with me. That's not the purpose of an apology. That's the purpose of a defense. But the purpose of apology is to be Matthias. Matthias means to appease, to make the person feel better. It's not going to make the person feel better that you hurt if you justify your actions. Even if you were justified. If the goal is to appease, then any apology that includes the word but is not going to accomplish its goal. Now, most of you probably know that I've, Baruch Hashem, been zocheh to publish a fair amount. Magazines, articles. Mishpacha just had an article of mine, some of you may have seen it. I have a few books, Baruch Hashem, that's been published. But in my whole career of writing, I only succeeded in getting published in the New York Times once. Wasn't the only time I tried, but I did get into the New York Times once. And that was in the 90s. And I just happened to have a copy with me because it's Nogeya to our sugya tonight. So I want to read it to you. This was in 1998, so it's 18 years ago. There was a very infamous scandal that had taken place in the highest echelons of the American government, where the president had been guilty of an indiscretion and apologized to his wife and to the country. After his apology, I sent the following letter that was published in the New York Times. I'd like to read it to you, because I think it kind of summarizes what we're talking about tonight. This was September 16th, 1998, if you want to look it up online. As a marriage counselor, I have witnessed hundreds of spouses apologize to each other for a wide range of misdeeds. The ultimate purpose of these apologies is to offer reassurance that the infraction will not be repeated. When the guilty spouse unequivocally acknowledges the specifics of an offense and its impact, the injured spouse can feel hopeful that he or she will not be hurt again. If we apply this paradigm to the president, his lukewarm public apologies to his spouse and the country received poor grades. They included little assurance that the behavior he termed not appropriate, unquote, will not be repeated. So, how should you apologize? What's an effective way to apologize, to appease someone who's been hurt? even if it was unintentional, even if it was just with words. Afilu b'devarim, as the Mechaber says. So the first thing is not to be defensive. We covered that already. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? So, to be more specific, and people have asked that I should be more specific and practical, I'm going to give you some concrete suggestions of what to include in your apology that maybe will make it more effective and will accomplish its goal of appeasing an injured spouse. The first thing is to acknowledge the damage. If you've hurt your spouse, if you made a mistake, if something was messed up because of your action or inaction, taking responsibility means acknowledging it. Yes, I was the one that caused the chicken to get burned in the oven, and I didn't take it out in time. Yes, I did that. I ruined your supper. I ruined your evening. I ruined the weekend. Whatever it was. I was late. I kept you waiting. Acknowledge what was done. I said something that was too harsh and was hurtful to you. Acknowledge the damage. You caused the damage. Acknowledge it. Articulate it. Spell it out. That's number one. Number two, don't ignore your spouse's feelings. Again, you may have done nothing wrong. And between you and your chavrusa, you didn't say anything wrong. And if someone said that to you, it wouldn't bother you. But your spouse was hurt. Acknowledge it. I hurt you. You were hurt by it. You were offended. You were insulted. You were embarrassed. Address the feelings of your spouse. Let your spouse know that you realize how your actions or your words impacted them. And prove to them, don't just say, I know how you felt. I know how you felt. Say it, explain it. You probably felt that I was being vindictive. You probably felt that I was being thoughtless and uncaring. And of course, that was very insulting and hurtful to you. So spell it out in a practical way. Now, we're apologizing to a Kadosh Baruch Hu when we do tshuva. And the apology b'inanu l'chavero should not be any different. When we apologize to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, we do tshuva. The Rambam says, Hilchos Teshuvah, Parak Aleph, the first halacha, it's a mitzvah min Torah, ben aseh, ben lo saseh, to do tshuva. Lisvados, to confess l'fnei Hashem, Baruch Hu, shenamar, ish o isha ki yaseh, visvadu, es chatasam, asher asa. Vidu devarim. And then the Rambam says, Ketzid misvadin. How do you confess? Omer, a person should say, Ana Hashem, chatasi avisi pashati lefanecha, va'asisi kach v'kach. It's the lashon of the Rambam. Not supposed to be done publicly, but privately. No one is supposed to hear this, but when you're talking to Hashem, when you're davening, you have to articulate in your tefillah the avera that you did. You have to spell it out to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Not, I'm sorry for being a bad boy. I'm sorry I wasn't a good enough Jew. I was over this particular avera, and you have to say it in your tefillah. That's what the Rambam says. If that's the way we're supposed to confess to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, I don't think we have any less of an obligation if we're trying to apologize to a spouse, to spell out, I did this. This is what I did. This is what I said. And this is how it made you feel. The last thing that's important is to offer some reassurance that this isn't going to happen again. Now, again, the purpose of the apology is not to avoid the consequences of your actions. It's not to make sure your spouse won't get angry with you, so you won't have to have an unpleasant evening. The purpose of the apology is to achieve piyus. And to achieve piyus, appeasement of your spouse, if your spouse is hurt, then it's necessary to reassure them that whatever happened isn't going to happen again. And the best reassurance is what I just said before. If you tell your spouse that you are makir what was wrong, and you're makir why it was wrong, and you're makir how they were affected by it, and how they were hurt, that's the greatest reassurance. It's not going to happen again. Because you understand what you did wrong. And if you understand it and you explain it, then your spouse realizes, well, maybe you won't do it again. Maybe you will, but maybe you won't. At least there's a hope. And the hope that it won't happen again, that's the piyus. That's the appeasement, that it won't happen again. Maybe you have to do something to prove it, but you have to demonstrate it. And one of the best demonstrations is explaining what you have to do. So just to review, not to be defensive, no buts in an apology, and acknowledge, take responsibility for the damage you caused, say what you did that was wrong, articulate the feelings, the hurt feelings, or the embarrassment, or the pain that your spouse experienced as a result of your actions, and finally, offer reassurance that this won't happen again. Now, I don't want to end this Vaad without also mentioning the other side of the coin, which is, it's not only an obligation for the perpetrator to be Matthias, the victim, for the guilty spouse to apologize for what he or she did. It's also important for the injured spouse to accept the apology and not to be so makpid. And the Mechaber talks about that also. So I wouldn't want anyone to leave the Vaad tonight and hear an apology from your spouse and say, you missed Wikler's point number 4. That's not, no, you missed 3 and 2. This was not a good apology. I don't accept it. I don't want anyone to do that. If your spouse apologizes to you, even if it didn't list all the points that I gave in an ideal apology, even if it wasn't a perfect apology, and it was missing some pitchivkas, and you didn't have all the details there, we're supposed to be mevater and accept even an imperfect apology. I heard last week from Rabbi Moshe Meir Weiss, Shlita, Staten Island, gave a public shiur, and he said, it's so interesting, he notices that in the ASERES Teshuvah, of course we're all on our best behavior. We all want to do everything as best as we can during ASERES Teshuvah. We're all on our tiptoes between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Why is it, Rabbi Weiss asked, that dafka during ASERES Teshuvah, nisyonos come up at home when we're just about ready to explode? Why is this happening to us? Dafka during ASERES Teshuvah. That's when someone rubs someone else the wrong way, and a shalom bias is being tested, and we're being provoked. Dafka during ASERES Teshuvah. So he offered his own explanation. He said, during ASERES Teshuvah, we're saying slichus. We're saying the Yud Gimel Midas constantly. Why? Why are we constantly repeating the Yud Gimel Midas? Well, obviously, we're trying to invoke the Midas HaRachmim. Kadosh Baruch Hu should have compassion on us. He says, but he thinks there's another reason. We mention the Yud Gimel Midas constantly because it's a reminder to us we're supposed to try to emulate Hashem. We're supposed to try to copy Kadosh Baruch Hu's Midas. If we want a Kadosh Baruch Hu to be an Erech HaPayim, it's one of the Yud Gimel Midas, Erech HaPayim. We also have to be an Erech HaPayim. So Kadosh Baruch Hu is testing us dafka during ASERES Teshuvah to give us opportunities to show that yes, we can be Erech HaPayim, so Kadosh Baruch Hu should copy us and be a Marach Af with us. I just want to be Messiah with a Davar Tov. There's somebody I know personally, not professionally, personally, who had a we'll call it a sichsuch, a disagreement with his neighbor. And it wasn't just about parking in the driveway, in front of the driveway. This was a more serious matter that involved Rabbanim, Divrei Torah. I'm not going into details. Whether the apologies were optimum or not, both neighbors didn't let go and didn't leave it at that and weren't makpid. It took a number of years. It happened about 15 years ago. But they didn't give up. And the two neighbors worked with themselves, with each other over time. And I heard from this person whose name will not be mentioned that this year they call each other not Erev Yom Kippur, they call each other before to wish each other a good year. And they're already inviting each other to their simchas. So it's important to know how to apologize. It's important to apologize in the most effective way. But if someone apologizes to you and they're missing some of the ideal ways of apologizing, then your job is to be mevater. And in that schus, we should all be zocha to have a complete kapara, and we should have a gemar chasima tova and a good gebench jua. I just want to announce that the next Vaad will be at B'ezras Hashem in 4 weeks, November 6th, and hopefully we're back at the usual venue. Gemar tov, gemar chasima tova, good jua.